welcome to our first episode of 2025 Talking into Profits. And I have my amazing guest. You guys have seen me talking about him all week. Willie Nickel. He is the guy that went from a 30-year cop to a life coach. And when I met him, I was like, okay, you got to come on my show. Will, you want to say hi? Everybody, if you're here, let me get this out real quick. If you're here, put it in the comments where you're coming in from it, and let's say hi to Willie and Happy New Year to everybody. Willie, you want to tell us more about you?
Heidi, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here and thank you for inviting me. I did a 30 plus year service in the police, after which 7 years in corporate security, and was made redundant, which was a bit of a blow at my advanced age. And I didn't know what to do next. So I diverted to being angry, Willie. I was a bit like the Incredible Hulk, not quite bursting out of my clothes, but I was not a happy bunny. And my lovely wife suggested that I would be good at coaching, which I dismissed as a lot of mumbo jumbo and said, no, I won't. But she persuaded me otherwise by the simple expedient of booking me on a training course without telling me. So I had to go because she'd paid for it. And I was determined not to enjoy it or debunk it or whatever. And at the end of the 3 days, just a very short course, I changed my mind and looked at coaching as a career. And when I was eventually made redundant, that's what I did.
I know. I loved that story when you told me that. And I was like, because I knew you coming from the police background and all that, you were like, oh, that hooey of life coaching. And I just laughed. And I'm like, look at you now, almost 7 years later.
Well, it's been a bit of a journey. I'm not a big fan of that phrase, journey, but it's been a journey. Um, and to my surprise and delight, I found that a lot of the previous experience and training that I had in the police and corporate security was absolutely transferable to coaching, to helping other people with their stuff.
Yeah, which is the biggest I invited you today is because a lot of people had a stressful 2024. And then, of course, all of us want to have an amazing 25. And there's a lot of people stuck in their rut. They feel like they've lost their mojo. And that's exactly what you help people do, right? It's get it all back.
Exactly. One of my very first clients presented with being stuck in a rut, had, if you like, in skiing terms, gone a bit off piste, couldn't find his way back, and was pretty miserable, to be fair. Um, when I suggested to him that he needed to get his life back on track and rediscover his mojo, he looked at me for a second and I thought, oh, it didn't land well, Willie. And to my surprise and delight, a few seconds later, said, yes, that's exactly right, Willie. I want to get my life back on track and I want to rediscover my mojo. So after a 90-day coaching program, he succeeded in doing both. And he still keeps in touch with me to this day, which is great, very gratifying.
That is freaking amazing. Guys, if you hear a siren, I'm sorry, there's an ambulance going by. It's real live. So that stuff happens. But that's awesome. Really, really awesome. And I mean, it's true. And we all get locked into that kind of stuff. You know, I sometimes get locked into my rut. I think we've probably all been there at some point, right? We feel like we don't have our mojo. And we need somebody like you to help get us back on track.
You're quite right. A thing that I say to clients is give yourself a break. You're only human, because they berate themselves for having allowed themselves to get into the rut or losing their mojo or their spark or their motivation. And then they beat themselves up. And we've all done
Yeah.
that. When something hasn't worked out properly, we exacerbate the situation by beating ourselves up. And since when did beating yourself up in a bad situation ever make it better, right? And I did that when I was made redundant. I was angry, bitter, worried, anxious, resentful, and when I was doing the first training course, the trainer said our minds are like the surface of a duck pond. When life throws something at you, it's like a boulder into the duck pond, and it'll be choppy. But if you leave it
Yeah.
alone, it'll go flat and calm again, and your mind's nice and calm. However, we've a nasty habit of throwing more rocks in, as I did, anger, bitterness, resentment, all of the things, right? And if you're going to do that, is your duck pond ever going to be flat and calm again? And the answer is no. So the moral of the story is when you have a rock like anger, bitterness, resentment, don't throw it into the duck pond of your mind because you'll never be calm and serene again. And that stuck with me. So whenever I get angry or annoyed or whatever, I go, okay, leave that rock on the ground, Willie, because you know what happens if you throw it into your duck pond. So I hope that makes sense, folks.
It does make total sense. I mean, I completely get it. Yeah, see, Beth has got it. Great analogy with the boulder and the duck pond. Totally agree with you. I mean, it makes sense to all of us. But and it's so true. I mean, we were just talking before we came live on camera that how, like, I was raised by my parents to be very independent and help myself and not ask for help and or not ask for help till I needed help. But it taught me not to ask for help. And now I'm that strong person everybody comes to. And now I'm learning how to open myself up to ask for help, which is something I know a lot of us struggle with.
Very much so, and without any disrespect to the ladies, men are particularly bad at this because we have been conditioned from an early stage in our lives to be the strong, silent type. Don't complain, get on with it, um, act, don't feel, just go and do it, as the Nike advert would have it. And that suppressed our ability or inclination to express our feelings openly, which in some ways can be good, but in the majority of ways is not a good thing because suppressing your emotions can lead to all sorts of other things.
Yeah. What are the side effects and stuff you've seen of repression emotions and things like that? I mean, I know what I see in business, but I mean, just helping people.
Well, if you think about it, you're like a pressure cooker, right? If you suppress emotions, don't let them out, they build up until sometimes, boom, right?
That's why I was going with that.
And that can be anger or whatever. So you blow your top, metaphorically speaking. Or alternatively, you suppress everything so deeply you become maybe even depressed because you can't see a way out, the wood for the trees, all that kind of thing. Because being stuck in that rut and compounded by your inability or unwillingness to ask for help to get out of the rut just creates a kind of vicious circle. And it's acknowledging that that's happening and making a decision to break that circle can be very liberating. And then having made that decision, you look about for who's the best guy to help you. And hopefully that will be me.
I'm sure that will be you. Yeah, is anybody here that's following us right now? Have you had problems? Do you struggle with asking for help? I mean, are you the strong one everybody comes to, but when it comes time to it, you don't do it? I mean, I know I've been that person and we've talked about it, but I also, it was funny you said that it builds up, it goes boom, because working with so many online coaches and service providers, I have seen some of the results of them going boom from not. And the worst thing you could do is blow up when you're in the middle of a client call, which I've had a couple clients do that. So
Again, it's the acknowledgement that we're only human. We're going to have bad days. Yeah, we all have bad days. And identifying that thing, I'm not going to let this bad day affect me. I'm not going to blow my stack. Right, I'm not going to go boom. Right, but the suppression of all that which leads to the blowing at the top is mentally and physically um, debilitating. For example, everyone's heard of the fight or flight syndrome or response. Right? That is an automatic, autonomous reaction to a stressor, right? And it goes back to caveman days when the caveman went out to look for some food for his cave family, but he knew that he was not at the top of the predator list and that he might be dinner for something else. So the brain developed, the amygdala in the brain, without getting too technical, developed this response. So when the caveman saw a saber-toothed tiger, which hopefully you don't have in Portugal, um, he would automatically go into the fight or flight response. So you get adrenaline, cortisol, all sorts of chemicals preparing you for the fight or flight. So your eyes get sharper, your hearing gets more acute, your blood races through your body, your stomach churns, you have sweaty palms. Does it remind you of anything? It's called stress, right?
Hmm.
And once that situation is over and all these chemicals dissipate, everything's cool. But if you're
Yeah.
under constant stress and the chemicals, adrenaline, cortisol, all sorts of other things within your body, they remain at an elevated level, which is positively harmful for you. So you see stressed people, they have strokes, they have heart attacks, they have brain bleeds, they, whatever it is. Right? So to me, it's common sense. If you're getting into that situation, stop, take a breath, and we can talk about that later, and say, no, I'm not going there. Because I know the outcomes can be very, very serious. It takes time, it takes learning, but you absolutely positively can do this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the things that I even help my clients with, because I found it so helpful for me, is to use different types of breathing exercises. The most effective one for me is box breathing, which I'm sure you know all about these. But for anybody who doesn't know, it's where you follow at the exact same count. Each you breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, and it's the same, like say 5 seconds per thing, whatever it is you're doing. And you keep that repeatedly 3 or 4 times, and it really does drop the blood pressure and give you a moment to reconnect with your senses basically and drop your stress levels.
Very much so. Breathing um, stimulates a neurotransmitter in your brain, and it's a very, very long um, amino acid thing. The acronym for which is GABA, GABA, right? So the correct breathing techniques stimulate this GABA neurotransmitter, which has a calming influence. So when people say, take a deep breath or do some breathing, there's scientific stuff behind it. I was also
Right.
talking on a call earlier. I have a friend who's heavily into Hawaiian culture. Hawaiian culture apparently is one of the most ancient cultures on the planet, and they have a technique called hakalau, right, which is a breathing technique. And you can Google this, haka L-E-U, hakalau, and there are all sorts of information about how this particular breathing technique just calms you down. So when people say breathing, meditation, mindfulness is a lot of nonsense, I'm here to tell you that hitherto, when I thought it was nonsense, I'm a convert.
Oh, I totally use it in everything. So you name it, it's worth it and worth learning, everyone. Let's see, Beth said, because we asked about if they seek help, her one of her focuses for 2025 is, if I can't do it all, seek help. It's been instrumental in my physical health as well as mental. And then David says, oh yeah, I don't ask for help enough. And I think that's common with all of us. But yeah, it goes back to what you said with um, using breathing, asking for help. And then also the other thing about, I was thinking about while you were talking about the breathing exercises too, is, in business, we gotta kind of hold our shit together at times. We're working with clients. You don't want to blow up. You don't want to show up stressed. You want to show up your best for your clients. And so if you're very stressed before getting on a call, A, they know it, it comes through, but B, you don't know what your reactions are going to be, if you're going to give the appropriate reactions. Whereas if you stop and do at least the very least a breathing exercise before getting on that call, you don't
Yeah.
pop off.
Well, it's almost like, to use a hackneyed word, headspace. Get in the right headspace, right? So if you've had a shit morning and you've fallen out with your partner, or the dog's barking at you, or whatever it is, right? Take a little while to go and sit somewhere quietly. Do some breathing exercises, some meditation, some mindfulness. Be in the moment, as it were. Be in the now, right? Just shut it all out, right? Calm yourself down, and then you'll be better placed to go into that client call or that meeting or whatever in a much calmer frame of mind. The thing about asking for help, which astonishes me, is we ask for help every day, right? Your car stops working, you take it to a mechanic. Like you've a nice pair of shoes you like, and the heels come off. You go to a cobbler to see if he can repair it. If you've got toothache, you phone up the dentist and make an appointment. Can you help me
Mhm.
fix this toothache, please, doc? Right? It's just automatic, and we think nothing of it. But when it comes to our own personal shit, right? Well, that's a different story, because that's personal stuff. Right? We
Yeah.
don't like to admit that we need help. Now, asking for help it has got a kind of bad rap, right? Particularly when it comes to personal stuff, right? But people see themselves as I can't ask for help because I'll be perceived as weak or incompetent or stupid or people will judge me. And
I see it.
no
Yeah, I was
one
going to
wants
say, I
to,
see it all the time with business owners who are afraid to ask for help because they are afraid of somebody's going to think because they got a coach or they got somebody, a strategist or anybody to come in to help them. And so they hold back and they try to keep figuring it out and do it themselves. And then they're years into their business. They still don't have it figured out. They're frustrated. They're broke. They're stressed out. And all they had to do was actually ask for help and get help.
well, yeah, stressed out, burnt out, broke, whatever you want to call it, right? The reluctance or unwillingness to ask for help is counterproductive, right? Far from being a sign of weakness, taking the decision to ask for help is a sign of clarity, strength of purpose, um, a motivation to get things done better. Right? Because if there's an old phrase in Scotland, and I'll say this slowly, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. Right? So you keep
Right.
on doing the same thing, and a wee bit like Einstein's definition of madness, right, or insanity, which apparently Einstein never actually said, but doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So it's like knocking your head off a wall. It's great when you stop because you're not getting anywhere apart from going to a drawer and getting some paracetamol out, right? So asking for help to go over that bump, hurdle, obstacle, whatever way you want to terminalise it, right, is to me just it's a no-brainer. Like I'm known as the Taking the Dinosaur, right, with a YouTube channel to prove it, by the way, right? Because tech and I don't agree, and I'm a relatively intelligent, articulate man with a law degree, but when it comes to tech, sorry, can't do it, right?
And
Other
that's
things,
okay. You can get help with that. And by the
exactly.
way, for everybody, just a plug for Willie's channel, he's the techno dinosaur.
Um,
Got to go check him out and follow him.
so asking for help is just a fact of life. The same as going to the
Yeah.
doctor, going to the mechanic, going to the dentist, going whatever it is, right? Um, you go to the supermarket and say, I can't find my favourite jar of pasta sauce. And you ask one of the nice people, so can you help me with this, please? Certainly, sir, it's now in a new aisle across there. Thank you so much. And it's just a blip, right? And if you look at it in that way, it's just a natural process, a natural action. I know somebody can help me. I'm going to ask them, Willie, can you help me with this? Yes, I can. Where do you want to start? Another thing I would say is if I can't help you with that particular thing, I will do my damnedest to find someone who can because I have
Same.
a wide network of lovely people like your good self. Right. And so I can't say fairer than that. But folks, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, right? Far from it. If it's actually a sign of strength. Like you've got
Yeah.
strength of character. I need help. I'm going to go get it. What's
Yeah.
not to like?
Well, let me ask you this from a business standpoint and, being business owners and things like this. How do you see not asking for help actually stop someone from maybe attracting premium clients? Is that maybe the reason they're not getting that because of a mindset that's going on there?
But we talk about mindset, right? So or we can talk about belief systems. I don't believe I need help. Right? I can do it all myself. Like, despite could be the glaring evidence to the contrary, because things ain't going well. Like, well, no, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing it. Stubbornness, if you like, can play a big part. But the people who open their minds that go, right, if I want to get to the next level, if I want to grow my business, if I want to grow myself, right, I need a bit of help with that, right? And it probably doesn't come in a book. Some books are good, but finding someone who knows what they're talking about and having a discussion about that, and you will always come away with some golden nuggets or some little light bulb moments, right? So, in a business sense, if you've hit the glass ceiling or you've hit the wall or whatever it happens to be, and you don't know how to figure out how to get over it, under it, through it, whatever, you're going to ask for help because it's your business, it's your baby, it's your livelihood, right? And if it's not working, you're going to go look for help.
Yeah. I mean, everybody here who's in the chat, I mean, have you hit walls and you held yourself back by not getting help and it cost you clients? It cost you hitting the next level, even on the personal level. Let us know about what you think about that. And has that held you back at points in your life? And Willie, you said something interesting when we came on too, and I agree with you because all three of the points we're hitting today, you know, unlocking your limitless potential and embracing your power and asking for help. At the end of the day, it all comes back to being authentically you, right? Tell everybody, because authentic is used a lot. So I'd like you to just start with telling people what authentic you means.
Okay, authenticity requires primarily self awareness, a very underrated quality. Being self aware means knowing your strengths, weaknesses, limitations, and so on, and then looking at where do I need that help. Right? And if you're honest with yourself, as I have been with the tech thing, I'm shit at tech. Okay, I'm honest with that, and I'll go and ask for help. Right? Um, if there's something I'm not good at, I had a tendency when I was younger. I will make this work. I will be good at this. Till I realised, like knocking your head off the wall, it's not going to happen, right? So being your authentic self, your honest self, right, is a big part of being able to progress, develop as a human being. And the same applies in business. If you're honest to say this business process I'm using or this vision, goal, whatever it is, ain't really working out, uh, be honest and say I'm going to change something. But
Mhm.
on the other hand, people are very change resistant. They don't like change. But I remember if you look at who was it that said there's only two things certain in life: death and taxes. It was one of the founding fathers in America, whose name escapes me, Benjamin Franklin, maybe. Right. So I would add to that death and taxes and change, because change is inevitable. And I'd even
Yeah.
add a fourth one: uncertainty, because
Ooh, I love that.
these next two things are with us all the time. Change is inevitable, and we can't be certain about everything. Look at the world today and the uncertainty in it. And if we focus on that, and I urge you not to, ladies and gentlemen, I don't read the papers and don't watch the news. Uncertainty and all of that can be a dampener on our ability to progress. Oh, I can't do that. I'll never make that work. Oh goodness me, no, I'm a failure. And before you're finished, you've talked yourself into failure, or you've talked yourself out of doing anything, right? Now, if you do what I do through NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, reframe the language. I can't do that. Okay, I'm saying I will learn how to do that. I'll never make this work. How can I make this work? And you change what's negative into more positive, constructive language. And it's a very simple thing to do.
It
Albeit,
is.
because we're only humans, I keep banging on about, we have a tendency for what we call negative self-talk. In
Hmm.
our heads, we're very negative, right? And if we can learn to change that negativity inside our head to something more positive and constructive, it's amazing how much easier things become.
Right.
And I've learned that to my cost, because now that's not going to work. I can't do this, blah, 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 blah. And then thinking, well, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to make this work. I am going to make this work. I'm going to try my best to do this. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to ask for help how to do this. And at the end of the process, you're much more liable to much further forward than you were stuck in the proverbial rut.
Yeah, I mean, exactly all that. I mean, I'm even working through, and this goes right along with this, is because a lot of what makes us unhappy or feel helpless or feel stuck is we're trying to control things outside our control. And I'm the worst. I admit I am a control freak, but I am working to change that. And a book that I just finished reading that really had a solution that helped me with that was Gay Hendricks. I don't know if you read The Genius Zone. If not, totally recommend. But he has a 5-step solution in there for helping you learn to recognize that if you're feeling upset, tight, fearful, look at what you're trying to control. And even if you don't know right that minute, just ask yourself, what am I trying to control right now? And then the next thing is, okay, I'm going to consciously let go of whatever it is. And the next step is you immediately do a positive action, which is what you were talking about, focus on the positive. So it's retraining the brain to focus on the positive. And I was like, it clicked for me. It was like, whoa, this is cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at some neuroscience and I follow some guys on YouTube, but I'm reminded of the Serenity Prayer. And not being a God-fearing man, I'll cut God out of it, but it's, grant me the grace to accept what I can't control or change.
Yeah.
Grant me the strength to change what I can, and grant me the wisdom to know the difference, right? Because as I
Yeah.
said before, I was determined to change something or control something that was out with it. So if you look at it, ask yourself the question, first of all, can I control or change that? Yes or no? Very simple. I can't control the weather, which is very cold here. I wish it wasn't, but there we are. Right? I can't control what's happening in Ukraine. I can't control the World Economic Forum or whatever it is, right? So I have to accept it. And acceptance is a very powerful, liberating thing, which I'll make him back onto. Right? What can I change? You can change what's within your capability to change, right? Your environment, your mindset, whatever it happens to be, and you accept that that's what you can change. And knowing which you switch is very powerful. But one thing you can always absolutely control is how you choose to react to that thing that you can't control. So if
Amen.
the weather's cold outside, I can choose to stay indoors or I can choose to wrap up warmly and go out. It's my choice. You'll always have that choice. How you react to whatever's out with your control is always your choice.
Well, and I think that brings us into the business side of things. The one thing I see making so many business owners unhappy, and I know I've been guilty of this one as well, is we're looking at what success is, and we're like, if somebody didn't buy, we feel miserable. Instead, look at what you could control there. Did you show up your absolute best? Did you do everything possible to potentially make the sale? And if you did, pat yourself on the back. You've done everything within your control. Somebody actually opening their wallet, that's not your control. So if you're basing your goals, your success on that, instead of like, did I do as good as I could? Did I improve something? Then now you're unhappy. But the other way, if you take that back and you focus on just improving yourself, your reactions, how you showed up, what you did, and if you did the best you could, count that as a win.
And no one can criticise you've done your very best. I mean, that's it, you've done your very best. It's the control thing, you're right. We can be control freaks. I used to be one. Not so much now, right? Because I've learned to accept a lot of things. So when you accept what you can't change, take a deep breath, go, oh, that's a lot better now. Instead of banging your head off the wall or striving, thriving, all that kind of stuff to no effect. If, for example, someone bad mouths you, right, and you get angry, you're the idiot because you've allowed them to make you angry, right? It's almost the old phrase, what other people think of me is none of my business. Right? So you can control your reaction to the idiot who badmouthed you and say, not my circus, not my monkeys. Right? The same in business is when things are not going well, stop, take stock and say, what is it that's causing this not to go well? What can I do to overcome this and make it better? And where am I going to start and where am I going to finish and whatnot? And conversely, as you said there, if you're doing something that's going well, keep doing it. You might ask, how can I make it even better? Right?
Mhm.
But don't despair because if something's not going right, we've all been there. What can I do to make this better? How am I going to start doing this? What steps am I going to take? And I would say baby steps. I once put in a post, how do you eat an elephant? The old question. In very small bites, right? Don't try
Yeah.
and do the Superman leap from ground level to the top of the building. Right? Do the first step. Right? Get that over with. Do the next step. What's the next step I can do? And then before you know it, the steps start appearing and you build a bit of momentum. So it might be I'll employ another member of staff, or I'll streamline that procedure, or I'll do something with AI or digital marketing or whatever it happens to be and see how that goes. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, at least you've done something. It's just like as I said before, the Nike advert, just do it. Take action. The old phrase, imperfect action always beats perfect inaction. So when you feel disinclined to do something, just do something. Work your way up to it. Just there's neuroscience behind this, which I won't bore you with. But if you do something you don't really want to do and you accomplish something, you have a sense of achievement. And apparently there's a part of your brain that grows because of this, right? And you have this, and it generates motivation, it generates momentum. So that thing you really don't want to do, like eat an elephant, right? Just do it because you will get a sense of satisfaction if you keep at it.
And exactly that. And something I like to point out on that aspect is people think I want to be confident before I do the thing, but in reality, that action, taking that step, is what builds your confidence and makes you realize I can do this.
It's kind of like chicken and egg, right? Oh, I'll need to get all my ducks in a row. Excuse the bird analogy here, right? Before I can start anything, right? I'll need to be perfect before this launches. No, I need to do 1 to 10, tick every box, right? Before you will never ever get anything done, right? It might be all polished and shiny, but if you don't actually, turn the key, make it move, right, you're not going to get anywhere. And I have learned that the just to make a decision. You've got a choice about what you control. You also have a choice to make decisions, right? And I had a post on LinkedIn about decisions, right? And if it's a difficult decision, we can do a number of things, right? We can ignore it, pretend it's not there and hope it goes away. We can put it off, like procrastinating, or we can actually do something. The third option generally is the one you should opt for. But why do we know it? Because generally that third option is the most difficult. It's the one that's going to require time, effort, and commitment. Whereas the other two, you just, I've made a decision not to do something, which is still a decision. It's a crap
Yeah.
decision, right? But it's still a decision. But if you decide to actually do something, take that small step or whatever, you've made that decision. You have set your mind to it, as the old phrase goes. I've put my mind to this. I've set my mind to do this. Right? And mindset is it's a hugely important thing, which I could talk for hours on, but I know we don't have that much time.
Yeah, well, and you made a good point too that not doing something is as much of a decision as doing it. So, as hard as it is, just get started, guys, because it doesn't matter what limiting beliefs you have, what mindset you got. If you're going to actually embrace your authentic power, you got to get started.
That's it. I mean, I use another analogy, right? We all have a smartphone, right? I happen to have an Apple phone, which I didn't really want. My wife and daughter thought I was protecting the dinosaur. You need an Apple phone. Okay, whatever. Right? And periodically, the phone will go ping, update, operating system update. And you go, okay, fair enough, right? And it'll tell you the reasons you should update your operating system, like greater security, speed of this, greater storage, whatever it is. And you go, well, that all sounds great. And you hit the install button. Good. We have an operating system in here. It's called our mindset. And I actually have a domain name called mindsetoperating.com. But anyway, that's another story. Right. Our mindset is our operating system. It's what makes us operate, or what makes us, what makes us tick. Right. So we have that mindset, the way we do things, the way we act, the way we behave. How often do we think about updating it or upgrading it? Because we're back to if you do what you've always done, blah de blah de blah. Right. So upgrading, what does that mean? Updating? Well, it could be education, it could be reading, whatever it happens to be, getting fitter, whatever is going to generate a bit of progress. But we forget about it. And we do the same things the same way we've always done it, and then wonder why we're not progressing. And I think that also can apply in business.
It
The
does.
last employed job I had was in the corporate security field. This was a huge multinational company, and I worked for the British operation. When I questioned why certain things were done, this is the way we've always done it. Well, can I suggest a better way, a more productive way, a less costly way? I went, oh, no, we can't do that. I mean, I remember very, very briefly, we had to buy a bit of kit, security kit. And I went online and I Googled it. And it was X amount of pounds. But the supplier, the recognised supplier for the company, was charging twice that. So I went to my boss and said, boss, you could get this at half the price. Look at all the money you'll save. No. That's a recognised supplier. That's the way we've always done it. And I began to think, I could run this bloody company better than you. Anyway, so the point of the story is, right, update what's in here, keep progressing. My final point about this was be the best you can be. I don't like that because what happens when you become the best? Where is there to go after that? How about be better every day?
Yeah.
Get better. 1%, the 1% rule. Do that, be better every day, whatever it is. Be better at brushing your teeth. Be better at combing your hair. Be better at whatever. Be better at business. Think of one small thing you can do to make your business better. Then, if that goes well, do more of it. If it doesn't go well, think of something else.
Try
So
again.
it's just updating, growth, development, and it's your responsibility, guys and girls. Right? No one's going to the development growth fairy is not going to come and tap you in the head and go, "Baby, there's your business going to grow by magic." No.
Yeah, and I mean it's so true. I mean, coming because since I help people with marketing, I literally have people in my networks that have been in my there for 5 or 6 years now. They're still in the same place today they were 5 or 6 years ago when we met, and it's because they won't do the update, they won't do the work, they won't ask for help, they won't try to anything different. They're still just let me post content on social media instead of just seeing what else can work. And it makes me sad in that aspect, but there's nothing I can do to help them. If they don't want the help, I can't force them, to get the help. Even though I've been pulling and tugging, and I finally just let go because I'm like, you don't want to change, you don't want to help, you want to stay stuck in your rut. That's on you.
Well, it's like the old phrase, you can lead a horse to water. Yeah. But in business, as in life, you can exhibit or display or demonstrate the benefits. You say, well, if you do it this way, you'll increase your profits. If you do it this way, your mindset will improve and you'll feel a lot better, happier, more contented, whatever it is. So if you can demonstrate, and in business, and I used to be in sales many, many years ago before joining the police, if you can demonstrate you will save money, make more money, have less absenteeism, less staff turnover, whatever, when you, the pounds, shillings, and pence are the dollars, right? When you illustrate that, people go, oh, right, okay, I'm in there. Right? So maybe not quite so easy to do that in a life coaching situation, but if you're going from there from being miserable to there from being happy, right, what's not to like? So it's the acknowledgement that nothing comes for nothing, right?
Mhm.
Take some action, figure out what you can do better, do it, see how it works out, change it if you have to change it. If you're making progress, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, keep trying. Let me. We got lost on our comments here because we conversation was so cool. But guys, let me. If you've got questions to ask, get those in the comments because we will be wrapping up here in a bit. We've got a little lag, so go ahead and get those in the comments. But Beth says she used to hold back. Remember, Heidi? Beth and I have known each other for a really long time, and I've been there with her through all of it. Back 5 years ago, I was feeling desperate, finally reached out to you for help getting my head together for my business ownership, then side gag journey, another why didn't I do that sooner moment. It was true, but she's owning it. And I will say this about Beth, she never stopped. She kept trying.
Well, I've had the pleasure of talking to Beth online, and I'll be guesting on one of her shows in the future. Um, Back to authenticity, right? You're authentic. I can tell that. We've never met. I can tell it. I can tell the same with Beth and many of the people that I meet online. And I said to one lady this afternoon during the event we were both on, I can feel your energy through Zoom. And she kind of looked at me. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Now, that just sounds goofy, right? But energy just come from physical contact or being face to face. It comes from um, how you're perceived, what you say, how you say it, and all that kind of stuff. Energy. Right? I'm fairly energetic, right, for a
Yeah.
man of my age. But being authentic and being even vulnerable, right, being honest and open, people will relate to that, right? And
Mhm.
asking for help, that shows vulnerability. Right? That shows
Yeah.
courage. Right?
It
So if
does.
someone comes up to you in your business and says, "Do you know how to fix this? Can you help me with that?" And you say, I don't know. and they look aghast because you're the expert. But you must know. When I was a supervisor in the police station, but you must know, you're the boss. I said, well, I don't know. Suck it up, cupcake. I don't know, right? But either I ask you to go and find out for me and come back and share it with me and the rest of the class, or let's go and do it together. Having exhibited that vulnerability by admitting I didn't know, people go, he's just human. He's just the same as us. And if you can do that as an employee, as a manager, as a leader, as C-suite or whatever, I say, I don't know. Like, there's this compulsion that we need to know everything, particularly as you climb up the corporate ladder. We need to know everything. Yes, there can be the subject expert, right? If it's a kind of complicated thing, but when it comes to leadership and building a business, things like that, just I don't know. But let's go and find out. How exciting is that? It's a challenge. And they come
It
back
is.
a day later, an hour later, a day later, a week later. Here's how we do it. And you go, oh, thank God. And we all have a big hug and a kiss and a cuddle, right? And maybe go out for a drink because we've achieved something. So admitting that you don't know something isn't a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, as long as it's done in the right context, of course, right? When there's something you obviously should know, and if you don't know, you're maybe not doing your job right. But if it's something that you're asked a question about, you say, I don't know. People will relate to that because you're being authentic and honest and open.
I
Uh,
agree.
and they relate to that because, well, he's just the same as us, or
Mhm.
he's the same as us. But let's go and find out because we don't want to leave that hanging there because that's not going to be very productive. So,
Yeah.
with authenticity, integrity, all that sort of thing, it's down to what your values are. And I actually have a document, a values elicitation document, where you can look at what are your values and how do they contribute to yourself as a person, contribute to yourself as a business owner, a business leader, or whatever other area of your life. Because if you're not authentic and live life according to your values, things will go wrong.
Yeah. Agreed. And not to mention, people soon realize you're being fake.
Well, you can say people can smell bullshit a mile away, right? So, and that once
Right.
especially if you're authentic and honest and don't tell any lies, you cannot be caught out, right? You cannot be caught out. We've all told a wee white lie, right? My wife says to me, "Does my bum look big in this dress?" And right, do you tell the truth and get a slap, or do you? Oh no, it's fine, right? But if you don't tell lies, you can't be caught out. If you're authentic and honest and upfront, and people love that. They know, like, and trust thing. Right? If you're
Yeah.
honest and upfront, they will get to know you, they'll get to like you, and they'll get to trust you. And
Yeah.
trust is a huge thing. I don't think it's a coincidence that trust, Trust, and truth, Truth, both these words begin with the letters TRU. Just saying.
Yeah. So true on that one. So true. Let's see. Guys, if you have questions, get them in because we're going to wrap up soon. But Carolyn said she valued working with various coaches over the years, both personally and professionally. Yeah, I think it was Ben Franklin as well, Beth, on that one. And then finally, Beth also says, spot on, Willie, about not seeking help on personal things or because we may be perceived as being weak, shame, guilt, etc. But almost every time when I do seek help, I ask myself, why didn't I do that sooner? This,
Absolutely, because it's
yeah,
it's like when you've done that asking for help, when you've got help and things have worked out, there's a huge sense of relief. Uh, and then the negative self talk kicks in. You berate yourself. Why did I not think of this sooner? As Beth says, but then that's counterproductive. Think, well, I didn't think of it sooner. Right, tough. I've done it now. At least just do it. I've done it now. I've got where I want to be. Let's move on.
yeah, for sure on that. So you have a lovely gift for everyone. That guys, it took me 2 seconds to sign up for it. You know, I sign up for everybody's gifts so I can give you a brief rundown of them, and we'll let Willie tell you even more in depth about it. But he has his worksheet to help you understand your stress, your reactions, how to manage them better, including even a stress management plan. And it literally took me 2 seconds to actually sign up for it. I have it sitting on my computer. I haven't finished quite filling it out yet, but it was very easy. I mean, we're going to drop the link for that after the show. Is there something I missed saying about that, Willie? You want to tell everybody?
No, it's just something that I come up with. I mean, having been stressed in the past, funnily enough, after 31 years in the cops, um, I just thought identifying stressors, what we're currently doing, what we could do better, formulate a plan of what works to reduce our stress, and continue doing that. And it's an 8-page document, which
Mhm.
sounds a lot, but it's big chunks of.
It wasn't, guys. It wasn't.
And we just follow this and see how it goes. If it works, great. If it doesn't, come back to me and I'll do something about it. But it's just something that I offer to many clients and non-clients is here's a mechanism for identifying and clarifying what stresses you and what you can do about it.
Yeah, because you guys, we want to get out of those ruts. We want you to get your mojo back. And from what I've seen of this gift that Willie's got for you, it will definitely help with that. And if you need more, of course, you can talk to Willie and see if he can help you as well with that kind of stuff. But I wanted to. No, I know, and you know this was coming up at some point. You got to stand next to Queen Elizabeth, and she does look so tidy, and I know. And is there any takeaway from that you want to share with anybody?
I think the biggest takeaway in a previous life in the police, I was a close protection officer. So when dignitaries like the late Queen came to Scotland in my patch, myself and my colleagues would be sent out to the protection detail. And on one occasion, by sheer happenstance, this is nearly 30 years ago, I'm showing my age off, I happened to be stood right next to Her Majesty the Queen, right, the late Queen Elizabeth II. And it was only by standing next to her I realised how tiny she was. And she was toty, as we say in Scotland, right? When I guess she wouldn't even hit 5 foot, but she had a presence that would have blown you away. She had an aura about her that was totally out of proportion to her size and her age. People were literally dumbstruck when approached by Her Majesty. And I later learned that her go to opening gambit was, "Have you come far?"
Oh,
Right. And that was, they would say, "Well, yes, Your Majesty, I'll go, yes, jolly good," and move on. Right. So that was her icebreaker. Apparently, I didn't hear her saying that, but I'm told that is the case. So you can have someone who has an aura or a presence totally disproportionate to their size, the physical size, and their station. I've met people who have that aura or presence about them who are not the Queen, right? But who have that about them. And if you can aspire to be that thought leader, that presence, that authentic person, people will be drawn to you. Not quite the law of attraction, but they will be attracted to you if you're
mhm.
authentic, genuine, open, honest, and vulnerable.
Yeah. I mean, that's so amazing. I mean, because then you're aspiring to be truly unlimited in what you can do just because you're open, you're being yourself, and you're inviting people in, right?
Very much so. It's just, I mean, I know that I won't be running a marathon at my age, right? It's something I regretted. I used to do a lot of sport, but I will do what I can within my physical and age limitations because your potential is limitless. It's like Mission Impossible. Here's your mission. Should you choose to accept it, it's to be fucking brilliant. How
Love
about
it.
that?
Tell us. I'm on. I'm on the mission. How impossible is it though, Willie? I mean, it's not impossible.
Well, go back to the mindset thing, right? Mindset, mind. If you put your mind to it, right? You set your mind in a course of action. Well, these are just words, right? But we know what they mean.
Yeah.
Right? You make a decision, you make a choice, right?
Yes.
I've decided I'm going to do that. I've chosen to do that. You made a decision, right? It's a mindset thing, right? And very often our mindset kind of lets us down, right? You can talk about negative mindsets and positive mindsets and growth mindsets and all that kind of malarkey, right? But what is the right mindset? Now, there's a $64,000 question. But I would be answered by saying a mindset that allows you to make these choices to grow and develop, whether it be personally, in your business, in your relationships, whatever. If you're open, an open mindset, as opposed to a closed mindset, we're back to the, I've always done it this way. Well, how's that working out for you? Right? Ask yourself that question. How's it working out for you? Well, not so well, actually. Well, fucking change it then. Change it. Change your mindset. Change your way of thinking. Right? Oh, how'd you do that? Well, let me give you a clue. and then you take it from there. If you have an open
Right.
mindset, an open attitude towards things, where you will are prepared to embrace things which hitherto you would have dismissed, as I did, coaching mumbo jumbo, psychobabble, I don't think so. I have now embraced much more than I did previously. And I've realised that I know very little about a lot of stuff, but at least I'm open to, well, let's go and explore that. And curiosity is another thing. Curiosity is a very powerful weapon. I'm curious about that. I think I'll go and have a look at it and see what's what. Why not? Because you never know what you might find.
Well, I think you have to be, and especially as business owners and stuff. If we're not curious, we're not going to advance. We're not going to grow. And now with AI coming in and all these things coming in, that it sped things up faster and faster and faster. So you don't have 6 months to a year to sort things out anymore. More flexibility, being more open minded, being more, and then just connecting with people in general, just being more open minded because we're all different in our own ways. But
Well, indeed, we're all individuals. We're unique. We have all of our
yeah,
own USPs that we're. If I would say things in conclusion is, um, be open and honest, be yourself, right? If you're your genuine self, you cannot go wrong, right?
yeah.
Be yourself. And lastly, be kind to yourself, right? Be kind to yourself because we can very often beat ourselves up for no good reason. Oh, I failed at that. I didn't do this. That didn't work. Oh my God, I'm a failure. Oh, geez, oh, blah, blah, blah. People will judge me. I'm weak. No, cut out that shit. Right? Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. It's not selfish. Self care is not selfish. If you look after yourself, you'll be in a better position to look after those you love. Care for.
Amen. I'm always telling my clients that because most of them don't treat themselves as good as they do their clients. And I'm like, if you're not taking care of you, you're going to run out of juice to take care of them and
Very
show
much.
up their best. So at the end of the day, I love that. Be kind to yourself. I mean, that's just an amazing place to leave this. Thank you so much for joining me, Willie, and all our amazing people in the comments as well. Our audience has joined us. Thank you so much. Thank you for this was amazing. So much value. So many gold nuggets, everyone. Anybody watching the replay, let us know. Hashtag replay. If you have questions, comments, leave those in the comments. We will come back and answer those as well for you. And we will see you next week for our second episode. And till then, thank you so much, Willie.
Yeah,
Bye.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.